Hopefully you can hear me alright. Just getting set up. So this is the second of my lockdown video diaries working on the new pedal board. This is my new project for the new year. And last week, if you were watching the stream last week, you saw me building the pedal board. Now I'm going to test it out, try out a few sounds, try out a few new song ideas I've been working on since I got all my pedals arranged. And I just want to start off with a few little tweaks that I did to the board since the stream last week. First of all, I forgot to put this on the board. This is the expression pedal for the delay. So this controls a lot of the options on the memory man. I've got it set to blend at the moment. So I've got a pedal where I can bring in the amount of delay that I want. The other change that I made since building it last week, oh hang on, something's popped up on the screen. Let me get rid of that. Let's bring up a close up of the board. Let's show you what's going on. So one thing you might find when you're doing a pedal board build is that the Velcro won't stick to some pedals. I had this issue with the California. Built it all last week. And then when I went to try it out the next day, I found that the glue hadn't stuck to the underside of the pedal. This is one of these pedals that has a rubber underside, so that when you're not on a board, when you're just having it on the floor, it doesn't slip around so much. So if you find you've got one of these pedals, you can take, there's two things you can do. You can either just rip the rubber backing off if it will come off easily, or if it won't come off easily, which happens on a lot of Boss pedals, you can unscrew the base plate and turn it upside down so that the rubber side is going inside the pedal if there's enough room for that without it coming into contact with the circuit board and pushing things out of place. That then gives you a metal base on the other side, and you can stick the Velcro quite easily to that. So I've done that with the California pedal here. Changed a couple of cables around just so that they're not quite as tight, because you don't want too much tension on the cables. You don't want anything pulling and causing too much tension, so that there's a risk of the cables damaging or fraying. Also, since last week, I remembered to pick up a glass of water to have on the stream, because my voice was going by the end of last week. This is what happens when you spend an entire year locked down on your own. You basically don't talk to anyone for a year and your voice starts to go. So this is what's happening now. So let's just go through the turn off everything and show you the setup that I've got today. Now, as you can see on the board, there is still one component that I'm waiting for, the ABY pedal. That's not in stock yet. I've got a pre-order for the next shipment of Gig Rig AB Baby pedals, easy for me to say. And as soon as that gets sent out with the next shipment, that will go on my board, but I've just got a cardboard space marked out for it just now, so that I know when it does arrive, I know it'll fit in the space that I've got left. So just now, I am doing a wet dry setup. Let me just get the amp camera up. So I'm running to 2 amplifiers, even though I don't have the ABY pedal. I'm using the stereo output from the flanger pedal to split the signal. Now, this is not a completely ideal way of doing it, because that is not electrically isolated and it doesn't have a phase inverter. So rather than running to the Laney amp, which would normally be my dry amp and will be once I've got the ABY pedal which can isolate it, I'm running into the Roland Street Cube, which is the amplifier that I use for busking, and it's powered by batteries, which means that it's not going off the mains. it's not going off the mains, it's electrically isolated from the mains, so you don't get a ground loop. Now let me show you what I mean by that. If I unplug that from the street tube and go into the laney, I don't know if you can hear that background buzzing noise. I don't know if the microphones will really pick it up much or not, but there is a fairly significant buzzing sound that's coming from that, and that's caused by a ground loop. Now what's happening there is that the Laney and the Vox, the two amplifiers that I'm using, are both plugged into the mains. So they've both got an earth going into the mains from there. They're also connected by all the cables that are used for the pedals. So what's happened there is that's turned the route between the amplifiers and the earths, and the amplifiers and the cables, into one big antenna circuit, and they are picking up all the electrical noise that's in the room, and that's the buzzing sound that you hear. Now there are a couple of ways you can get rid of that, but really there's only the only way to really do it safely is to properly isolate it with an isolating pedal like the AB Baby that I've got on order. If you just take the earth out from the amplifier, what you're doing there is you're creating a route where you can get electric shocks, and musicians have been killed by by amplifiers electrocuting them. So don't do that. The other way to do it, if the power will come back on, get that switch back on now. The other way to do it is to use a battery power supply, because that is powering the amplifier without putting it into a ground loop there, so that will play nice and quiet. Now the other thing that you can get when you're using two amplifiers is that you can get phase problems. Let me bring the two shots up there. So this is where you can tell that I spent most of lockdown watching the gig rig, because this is the exact same way that Dan and Mick demonstrate a phase issue on the gig rig. So if you imagine your two amplifiers, amplifier 1, amplifier 2, so if they're in phase, the speakers are moving pretty much at the same time, pushing forward, pulling back, moving the air to create the signal. Now if you've got a lot of pedals like I have that are in different parts of the system, then sometimes you can get amplifiers that wind up out of phase. So one amp is pushing at the same time as the other one's pulling back. So it works like that instead of like that. And if that is happening, then the waveforms that are coming out of the two amps, rather than amplifying and boosting and increasing the loudness of your signal, they will cancel each other out, and you'll get very quiet, very thin, very weak sounding response from your amplifiers. So what you need to do there is get a pedal that has a 180-degree phase switch, and then if you find that your amplifiers are out of phase, you flick that switch, puts them back into phase, and you get a proper signal again. Now, signal I've got from the two amplifiers in the room, it's not too bad. I don't know if it's completely in phase or not, but it's reasonable enough for playing at home volumes. If you're playing at a gig or in the rehearsal room where you get everything cranked up, that and the ground loops would be much more noticeable. So at the moment, yeah, I'm splitting my signal at the flanger, at the stereo output there, which is not perfect, But once I get the AB baby pedal, that will make life an awful lot easier. So that's enough of that. Let's go through the pedal board that I built last week. So this is my new setup here. So first of all, the signal's going into Big Dot's tuner. There's a few different types of pedal on the market, but I like this one because it does that. And if you're a guitarist who is as short-sighted as me, having a great big LCD display on your tuner makes life an awful lot easier because you can see it on a dark stage. So from the tuner, next on the board I've got the wah. Now just a word about pedal order. I like, excuse me, as I say my voice is going, so bear with me. I like to have the wah before all my gain pedals. There's no absolute kind of golden rule for what is the right or wrong way. There's no right or wrong way to put a pedal board together in terms of the order you put them in. Different orders affect the sound in different ways. Different combinations of pedals work differently depending on whether you put them before or after each other. So it's really just a matter of trying them out and seeing what will produce the kind of sound that you're looking for. The way I've got them on this board is kind of more or less the kind of accepted standard, if there is such a thing, way of having them, but there's no definite right or wrong. Put them in whatever order you like, try them out, experiment with different things, find what works for you. So after the wah, I'm going into a Marshall BB2. That's set in a boost mode. Which isn't quite doing what I wanted to do at the moment, but that's because I'm playing with the amplifiers at home volume. In the practice room, that would just tip the signal over into overdrive. But when I'm playing at home, I've got so much headroom in that Vox amplifier that unless it's really cranked, it's not going to tip over into overdrive quite so easily. That's where I've got the California next. I'm just using this as a distortion pedal. I will kind of tweak these sounds as I go along with the pedal board once I've had it a while, because they all got a wee bit knocked as I was putting the board on, so still experimenting with which tones I want to keep on, which settings I want to use. But that's my distortion pedal. Then next is a Big Muff fuzz pedal, which I mostly use in solos. That is again set way lower than I would have it on stage, just because I'm playing at home. This is a loud pedal. And then from there, this will be wired into ABY. Once I've got that, that's going to go into there. I don't have that yet, so it's going straight from the Big Muff into where the next wire will go, which is the chorus and then the flanger. So this is the start of my modulation phase. So I'm going tuner, wah, gain, and then modulation. And the one thing that I did kind of realise when I put this board up to date to test it, because what I haven't done yet is test it really in gig conditions where I've got boots on. And it's a little bit harder, I've found, when I put the pedal to get in to activate the chorus on its own with my boots on. And this isn't actually a major problem for me, because the songs I tend to have chorus on, it's generally on from the start and on right the way through. and it is quite often on with the flanger as well, where I'll use the flanger just in the intro and then kill that. So where they're positioned there, it's actually quite handy just to stomp and bring them both on. And have a sound that I would use in the intro of a song. And take the flanger out when it goes into the verse and start singing. So this is what I do in parallel. If I get the capo right. So let's. So at the start of parallel, stomp on them both. We've got the flanged chorus for the intro of the song. And then it's nice and easy just to get in it, just the flanger on its own. I am lost in the space between the world that you live in, the world that I, and so on. And here comes trouble because the cat's just realised that I'm working in here. Hello, Tinker. So we'll see how long I can go now before you get a cat in shot somewhere. And next from the flanger, the next thing is going to the memory man, which is my delay pedal. Let's put that on. So this is one of the new pedals that I've just got, and this is one of the reasons why I started building a new board to make space for that. So I've really just started scratching the surface of this pedal and all the things that it can do. And I love that I've got the expression pedal for this, because then you can just start it off with the delay off and then just slowly fade it in. You can be really, really subtle with that. The controls we've got for the expression pedal are set by this expression modes button here, which flips between blend, the rate of the modulation controls. Let's put the modulation on. So you can get some lovely strange effects with the in the delay path there. And you can also change the depth. Start bringing in the signal more strongly. And then the feedback control, just how much of the delay you get, how many repeats you get. And with the expression control, feedback. It alters between none at all in the heel down position, right the way through to as much as you give it on the dial with the heel up. So let's start just fading that up. So you're going to get more and more repeats as I bring the pedal around until it gets past the point where it starts feeding back into itself. And you get that lovely self-oscillation sound. You can also trigger that. There's two ways you can do that. You can use that with the pedal. If you step on the tap tempo as well, you can get that too. Hold that down. If you hold the tap tempo down for more than 2 seconds, it goes into self-oscillation mode where you get that sound. And the last control on the Memory Man, the expression pedal, is the delay. So you can speed up how quickly the echo comes back to you, or slow it down, and this is where you can get some of these really beautifully strange sounds that you can use right at the end of a song. Try it with a bit of fuzz. So that's your kind of Radiohead kind of sounds you can get into there. Next on the board is another new pedal. I love this. I really only started just getting, I've barely scratched the surface of what this can do. This is the Trematron by Stone Deaf Effects, who are, I think they're basically just like one or two guys based out in Manchester who hand build pedals and amplifiers, and they make some incredible things. So let's put this on. And just for the moment, I'm going to switch the dry amp off, so you really just hear the effects on its own. This is a beautiful sounding tremolo. Put a wee bit more gain into that so you can hear it a bit clearer. It's got the usual depth and rate controls that you'd expect on a tremolo. Turn the rate up a bit. As you can see there, how much you're giving it is marked out by these really cool LEDs. It's also got quite an array of waveforms. This is in sine wave. Move it around to say a sawtooth. Or a square wave. It's also got no divider, so let's put it on there. level controls up at the top, and a tap tempo. Now this is really nice but pretty standard tremolo stuff. But where this thing really shines is it's got 2 tremolo circuits in it. If you press down on any of these buttons, as well as the green LED, you'll get a red LED. And the red one marks out the position of your second circuit. So you can overlay 2 tremolos on top of each other. Square wave and a sine wave. Sawtooth for the first one and an offset square for the second. Individual control for the rate and depth on both of them. So you can create some really interesting weird sounds with this pedal. When you find one that really works for you as well, you can save it as a preset. It's got a few built in, and I've put a few of my own in as well. If you press the bypass and the tap tempo button at the same time, this calls up presets. So that's one that I've saved into it. And you can also get, this is one of their built-in ones, which is a kind of a ring mod sound. I love this pedal. That is the Stone Deaf FX Trematron. And from the output from that, I'm going into the TC Electronics Fluorescence. It's a shimmer effect. This is an octave reverb. So this takes the kind of sound that you get from a standard reverb pedal, pushes it up an octave. And you've got this kind of ethereal choir singing behind your guitar. And from there, I'm going into a Holy Grail reverb pedal. This is I switch between standard and reverse reverb a lot. I love using the reverse reverb sound in there because it just gives you this strange wash of not quite guitar. It's one of these things that it's quite hard to kind of work out exactly what's going on in a mix when you hear it, but it's something very strange and unusual, and I love strange and unusual sounds. That is one of the reasons why I'm using this with 2 amplifiers, and my streaming software is being really slow again tonight. I don't know why that is, but bear with me whilst I try and move across to another camera. So hopefully in a second this is going to go to the 2 amp camera setup. Just to explain the reason why I use 2 amplifiers. Now, if you're just using all these effects into the one amplifier, particularly the modulations and the time settings, you can get quite a woolly, undefined sound. Very pretty, but it's easy to get lost in the mix. But hey, it's the second camera's working. If I go over and switch my dry amplifier on, this is getting none of the modulated signal. This is only getting the sound that's going from the gain pedals, or at least it will once I've got the ABY pedal. I'm having to take it out with the flanger at the moment because it's got a stereo output. But that is, I've switched off the flanger in the chorus just now, so that the Rolling Street Tube is now only getting the sound from my gain pedals. The Vox is getting the gain pedals plus the delay, the tremolo, the shimmer and the reverse reverb. The attack of the signal is going into the Roland amplifier. So you've still got these epically huge cathedral sound effects going into the Vox, but you're still getting the definition from the attack, because none of that is going into the other amplifier. So I want to demonstrate that with a new song that I've been working on during lockdown. I'm just going to be playing the guitar part in this. I'm not going to be singing. I'm going to leave the vocal from the demo on the playback, because my voice isn't really great for singing at the moment. But I'll just concentrate on the guitar part. The effects that I'm using for this, I'm using the chorus, I'm using the Memory Man, where the tap divide is set in quarter note, I think, and the expression pedal is using the blend control, and I'm using the reverse reverb of the Holy Grail. So when I start the playback, you'll the vocals, drum machine and bass are on the playback. All the guitar is live in the room. So hopefully this works, because this is a completely work in progress thing. So there may be the odd note that doesn't quite go according to plan, because I'm still learning how to do this. that's a new song that I've been working on, Heard Everything Disappear, with the new pedal board that I've been working on over the last couple of weeks. Hope you enjoyed that little demonstration of what I've been up to, and yeah, if you've enjoyed that, please do subscribe to the channel. Have a look at the Patreon page I've got, which is patreon.com/David Burns. Anything in there really helps keep things going at the moment whilst there's no gigs. Hopefully at some point gigs will come back and I can get this out on the road and yeah, get back to playing somewhere where I can turn things up a little bit louder than my spare room. But thank you for watching tonight's stream. Take care, I'll see you again soon.